For today's module, we're going to be working on Microsoft Sway. So, Microsoft Sway, as you can see in the description here, I will just break it down. It's a program that can be used to create a portfolio for a user. Now, a portfolio can show a variety of things. It can show artifacts that students created, their skills, things that they've achieved, and many different aspects. It can also demonstrate student learning. And the way that it can do this is that students can put in artifacts from the course of the year, and it can illustrate what they've learned through each of the content areas. So you can have a section for the American Revolution. You can have a section, I said content areas, I just realized that's going to bother me. So today we're going to be doing a module on Microsoft Sway. So now Microsoft Sway can be used to help create a digital portfolio. So a portfolio can be used to illustrate either student artifacts, a person's skills, their achievements, and many other aspects. For a digital portfolio for a classroom, you can use them to have students illustrate their learning. So you can have students create a portfolio that shows their knowledge on a variety of different topics. For example, the American Revolution, the Civil War, World War I, World War II, and so on. This can help enhance their learning because they're going to also be able to construct knowledge on how to create a portfolio digitally. So they're going to learn a new skill that could potentially be used for their career, their professional life, and so on and so forth. So today I'm going to demonstrate how to use Microsoft Sway, and then I'm also going to talk about how this resource fits in with both the ISTE-S standards and the New York State standards. So to begin with Microsoft Sway, we need to go to the website. So what you can do is, if you don't have a browser open, you can go to whatever browser you're using. I'm using Google Chrome. If you're using Microsoft Edge, Firefox, etc., you would open up a new page, as you can see here. Now, in the handout, I have listed the URL that you would have to go to. So you could either type this whole thing in, or you can click on it by hitting Control and left click, or you can simply select the URL and copy it into the URL bar. Okay, so once we've done that, you are going to be taken to the Microsoft website. So the first step you're going to want to do is sign up for an account. Once you do that, it's going to ask you to sign in. I'm going to illustrate the sign up steps in the handout just because I have an account already, and I also will go through and explain each step as we get there. So the first thing you're going to do is enter an email address that you want to use for your account. Now, if you're a teacher, you should use your teaching account for school. Students should use their student account, and so on. Or you can use a phone number. That method is not recommended if you're going to be using a teaching or student account. Or you can get a new email address through Microsoft. Now, some schools are a Microsoft 365 school, so you will have an account that's already associated with Microsoft. Once you do the email, it's going to prompt you to create a password. So you can create the password to mimic the same password that you have for school, or make it a new password entirely. And once you do that, you're going to hit the next button, and then it's going to ask you to enter your country or region. So since I live in the United States, that is the country or region that is selected. You're going to enter your birth date, so the month, day, and year, and then once you're done, you're going to hit the next button. Then, after, you're going to be asked to verify your email. So whatever email you use, you're going to want to go to that email. You'll be sent a code, to enter into this bar. You're going to type in the code. It's a 4-digit number. and then you're going to hit the next button. Okay, as you can see here, actually, excuse me, I think it's a 5-digit code. Nope, it's 4, excuse me. As you can see, there's a 4-digit code in this email. So you will enter that into the area, as you can see in the next picture, and then click next. Then after that, it's going to ask you to do one more verification step, and this is to enter the characters you see on the screen. So it's going to give you about a few characters, probably, I believe the number is like 9 or 10. You're going to enter what you see on the screen. Once you enter the characters that you see, you're going to click next. After that, a pop-up window will come up, and it's going to ask you if you want to stay with the current plan, which is free, or go premium for Microsoft 365. You can do a lot of the things in the free version, but if you'd like to get Microsoft 365, you can talk to your technology specialist to see how you could go about in getting the premium version. You can look through the rest of the information on that page by clicking the arrow keys to go to the next thing, and it will give you some information about Microsoft, the online version. So once you have gone through the information, you can hit the X button, or there is also a check box that will replace the right arrow key. And then once you're into the main page, it will say hello to the app launcher. It has just a short information. When you're done reading that, you can click the Got It button to go to the main Microsoft page. So from this step, from the handout, I'm going to show how to work and get to Sway. So I'm going to sign in. I apologize for the wait. Okay. So we're going to sign in. Okay, so once you sign into Microsoft, you will be brought to the main page. So on this page, it has everything: Outlook, OneDrive, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, To-Do, Calendar, Skype, and it says All Apps. Now, we're going to be working with Microsoft Sway, so we're going to click the All Apps option, and then click on Sway, which is the third to last application in the list. So once we do that, we'll be brought to a new page. So when you come to Sway, it won't say start from a topic or start from a document. The only option will say create new with a plus sign, or create new at the top. So you can use either these two options to create a brand new Microsoft Sway. So I'm going to press create new. So when you create a new Microsoft Sway, this is what you are going to see. You're going to see one box, and it's going to have just emphasize, accent, link, a plus sign, a play option, a share option, more available options, a magnifying glass, an undo button, a redo button, and an insert option. So the first box for your Sway is the title. So if you're having students work with this, you can have your title as whatever you need it to be. So, for example, if you're teaching social studies to 8th graders, you can put social studies and then have students write their grade level. Now, let's say you need this to be big and very out there. If you highlight the text, you can click emphasize, which will make the text in bold, or you can have it accented, which will italicize the text, or you could have both. You can have an emphasis and an accent for the wording. Also, you can add links inside of your heading or any of the other sections. So to do this, if you want your link to say classwork, you can add a web link from OneDrive of a certain class and have the link here, and once you hit OK, the link will appear here. Also, another way to link something is if you highlight a word or words and click link, it'll say to display text as social studies. Then you would add the web link to social studies, so I'm just going to add this link just to provide an example, and you're going to hit OK. Once you do that, you will see that social studies now has a link. If you hit control and left click, it will bring you to wherever that link goes. So I'm going to remove this link just so it doesn't open again. So let's do this. Okay, it won't remove, so we'll just leave it as is. Another aspect you can do is add a background picture to your main page. So we could go with social studies is one of the suggested options. You can browse content from many places, so you can type in a lot of different subjects to look for an image. So I'm going to click this first image here, and then I'm going to click add to add the image into my card. Once I'm done adding my image, I can click X, and that will leave that location. If you want the image that you've added to have a certain focus point, let's say I want it to be more focused on social studies, civics, and history, just these portions, I can leave it at that, and then I can hit the X, and that's what will be shown. So now, after I've done that, let's say I didn't want those focus points and I want to undo something. I can hit the undo, which will undo the previous action. Let's say I didn't want to undo something, I can hit redo, which will redo the action that I did. Okay, so to add more cards to this sway, you would click the plus sign. So now it's going to pop up a variety of options. So sway is going to suggest things, it's going to suggest another heading, to add some text, to add an image, to stack some information, or to upload a picture or a document from your device. Then you also have text, which is another heading or another text card. Media, you can include an image from Sway's image bank like I did for the background. You can include a video, so Sway also has videos that you can include into your card. So let's say that I want Social Studies United States Constitution Explained added into my Sway for my portfolio. Let's say I worked on that. I would add this to my portfolio caption. You could say my video to explain the Constitution. Okay, so once you do that, once you have your video added, again, you can hit X to exit out that screen. Now with this as well, you can emphasize your text, accent your text. If you're going to have a list of information inside of a card, you can bullet your text. You can bullet your text. You can add a number to your text, and you can also add links into the other cards. Now, in addition to all these options, you can make the information more emphasized. Now, to do that, there will either be the first two options in a card or all three. This card has all three options for emphasis. So the first one is a subtle emphasis, the second one is a moderate, and the last one is an intense. So let's say I want this to be moderately emphasized. So I would click this option, and it would moderately emphasize the information. Now let's say I didn't mean to add this card into my portfolio. I can hit the delete or the trash can, which will remove this card. Then I can continue adding other different cards into the portfolio. So let's say I need to add a text card. Let's say this is emphasizing what this portfolio is about. So this portfolio is to demonstrate all of the material that I have learned in 8th grade social studies. Okay. Now, let's say you can change it to a heading. Let's say we want this to go at the right underneath our title card. So we can put it right above our video, and now this is stacked above our second card. Now we can keep doing this until we have as many cards as we need to illustrate what we have learned from our 8th grade year. So we can have all the artifacts that we learned in one location, and then this can be played by the person who was created, the user who was created, to make sure that the sway that they've created looks appropriate, looks how they want it, looks cohesive. So this way, when it's given to either a teacher or a boss, it can have a flow in an organization. So if you click play, it's going to show the title card first, and then there is options. I believe because of the background it's too dark, so let's change this background card. So to do that, if we hit details and then we click background, we can delete the background card because it's too dark. So let's click on social studies, a little more light, to add into our profile card for the title, and then hit X, and then we can hit play again. So now we can see that it says social studies 8th grade, and we are going to change the layout to the default layout because I believe it wasn't on there. So here you can see that there are a variety of options. You can either edit this way, you can share it, you can change the settings of the sway, and there are more available options. We'll get to those in a second. But down here, you can see that there are 3 dots with lines, a left arrow key, and a right arrow key. The right arrow key will bring you to the next card in the sway. So this way you could look at the other information that's included. So since we only have 3 cards, these are the only 3 cards available. Now if you click on navigate to different sections in this way, it will show you all of the main sections of the portfolio. So home will always be the title card, and then this is the first card of the portfolio, so this is going to be labeled 1. If there were more than this one, it will pop up 1, 2, 3, and if you need to get to, say, this point exactly, if you click on where it says 1, it will go exactly to this point.
They have their own.
So, let's say something in your portfolio is not how you want it. If you click the edit this way option, it'll bring you back to the main page where you can go in and edit the information in your sway. So let's say you forgot information for your sway, you can add a new card into your portfolio, so that way you can add the information that might be missing. So if you hit play, it goes back to this format. For some reason this is going in a different order, and I'll explain why. So if you click change this gear icon, it will give you the option to change the layout of the portfolio or the sway. Usually it is set to scrolls horizontally, but for some reason this keeps activating as scrolling vertically. So you can either have this way scroll vertically up and down, horizontally side to side, or you can have it optimized for presentation. Then, other than that, another option is share. So you can share this with anyone that you need to, either a teacher for when they're assessing students' knowledge on the content from the class, So you can invite the teacher to, view or edit. You can invite students to view or edit, and you can send either this URL, a visual link. You can send it through Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or an embedded code. And it also allows you to reset the share settings if you've made a mistake somewhere when you're trying to share it. Now, also in this options are more options. So if you click My Sways, it will take you to the Sways page where it shows you all the sways that you've created. You can click on the sway that you're working on, another sway. If you click Create New, it will allow you to create a brand new sway, so it will bring you back to the original title card that you first created. You can duplicate this sway. You can add a title for it and click Duplicate. It's going to say duplicating this sway. It's going to tell you that it's been duplicated. You can either go to your sways or you can edit this version of the sway. So let's say I want to edit this. You can print this way. It's going to tell you that they're creating a PDF optimized for printing. Now, if this is the first time clicking print, it will take some time for that message to go away. When you click print, it'll pop up the options for printing. You can change these settings to how you want it. I'm going to leave these alone, and if you're done and you need to hit print, you would click the print button, but since I'm not printing right now, I'm going to hit cancel. Now let's say if something didn't work and that print screen has now closed, Sway gives you an option to download the PDF for your Sway/portfolio to download and print it again. Then you have export, so you can export this way into a Word document or a PDF document. So I'm going to show an example using Word. This is the same process for if you're going to do it for PDF. So it's going to say exporting to Word, and then in the lower left-hand corner, the example is going to, the document is going to pop up in the Word format. You can click on it. It's going to it's going to load the new format, and you're going to see all the example or the information from your Sway in this Word format. So next, we have settings for this Sway. You can change the settings for this Sway. You can change the language. You can have it show text direction buttons, use left or right layout, and then other view settings. So you can change this to however the user would like. Then you have the accessibility checker to try to make your Sway more accessible to all users. So this is for if you're going to send it to someone who might have some sort of special need, who may need to see the text bigger, who may need to see bigger images, or might be hard of hearing, or any type of needs for that need to be accessible. You can have the accessibility checker to look at your Sway/portfolio, and it also gives you an option to look at the tips for making your Sway more accessible. Then you have accessibility view, which will put the Sway/portfolio in a way that is more easy and accessible for others who might need it in that format. Now, let's say you want to exit the accessibility view. You can just click exit accessibility view, and it will exit that format. If you click, if you click find, maybe not on this one. Let's use, let's go, I need a different format. So, let's say you need to, I apologize. Okay. Let's say, well, there's another option that should be here, but let's say you need to find something on your Sway. There is an option to click in the list of options that is for find. So when that pops up, there will be a search bar. You can type in keywords or phrases to locate them immediately in Sway. So this is beneficial for teachers if they're looking for a certain word or phrase or keyword in their students' Sway to make sure they are understanding and comprehending the information. If you click help, it will provide you things for how to for articles for help and how-tos. You can find answers to a question or an issue in the Sway community forum. You can give feedback to Microsoft, or you can report a violation. And if you see your email, this is more to access your Microsoft account. I'm not going to click this just because it will show personal information, but if you click this, you can easily access your Microsoft account, and then of course, the end, there is a sign out option. So a few more things I would like to present for this are you can do design. You can change the design of your Sway. Again, you can change how you're going to have it present. So you can either have it do it scrolling vertically, horizontally, or slides. You can change how the Sway looks by choosing a theme. So let's say I want this as my theme for my Sway. I can choose this and then go through my Sway and see that the format has been added to the rest of the presentation. I'm going to redo this. I don't like this video. So today we're going to start a module on using Microsoft Sway. So Microsoft Sway is one of the applications that Microsoft has that can be used to create a digital portfolio. So now digital portfolios can be used in schools to demonstrate students' knowledge of the material. They can illustrate their skills, their achievements, and other aspects that are being dictated for the use inside the portfolio. So to start this module, the first thing we need to do is open up our web browser. Now, as you can see, I'm using Google Chrome. Some people can be using Microsoft Edge or Firefox. Whatever you're using, this application should work just fine. So the first thing we're going to do is open up a new web page. When the web page is open, you are going to want to input the URL to get to Sway. Now, in the handout, I have included the URL. You can either highlight the URL and copy it into the bar. You can either control and left click, or you can type in the entire URL into the URL bar. I'm going to just copy it into the URL bar so that way we can get started. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is sign up for an account. Now, because I already have an account, I'm going to go through these steps on the handout. So, it's going to ask you for when you're creating an account to use an email. Now, if you're using this for school purposes, I recommend that teachers and students who do not have a Microsoft 365 account already use their school emails. But if you have a Microsoft account already, then just sign into your Microsoft 365 account. So where it says someone@example.com, you're going to enter in your email address and then click the next button. Once you do that, the next page will prompt you to create a password. I would highly recommend using the same password for your school account. If you don't want to use the same password for your school account, then create a new password, and once you're done entering the password, click the next button. After you do that, the next page will ask you to select your country or region and enter your birth date. Now, since I live in the country/region of the United States, that is why that is already selected. If you live in another country/region, it should possibly already select your country/region for you. If not, then click on the drop-down arrow and find your country/region. Then you're going to enter your birth date. This is the only real identifying information that creating an account asks of a user. Other than that, you have the option to adding your name and other information and stuff. Once all this information is added, click the next button to go to the next page. So the next page is going to ask you to verify the email that you've included. It will ask you to verify the email by sending a code to the email that you used. Once you get that code, you are going to enter it into that page. So as you can see in the handout, I went into my email and I took the code that was given to me from Microsoft and I entered it into that page. If you'd like, you can either check or uncheck the box of receiving information, tips, and offers from Microsoft products and services. If you do not want your students or your teachers and students to be having this information, then I would recommend unchecking that box. When you're done entering this information and checking or unchecking the box, click Next. And then you're going to be prompted to another page. So this page asks the user to write in the characters that they see in the picture. So if a student who may have accessibility needs cannot see this image because it's too close together, they can hit New. If you have students who might be hard of hearing, they can, or sorry, not hard of hearing. If you have students who may not see as well, who may need to hear the characters, they can click the audio and listen to the characters be given to them from the audio. Once the characters have been entered in, as you see in the image, you're going to click the Next button, which will then prompt you to the option to go premium with Microsoft 365. Now, the free version of Microsoft Online works perfectly fine. You still get to use a variety of the apps. Microsoft 365 just provides a little more options for the user. So if you would like to use that, you can either, if you're a teacher, if you want to use it personally, you can pay out of pocket for it. Or if you want to use it in your classroom, you can consult with your tech specialist or tech coaches to see how to get the premium version for your school. Now, if you want to look at the information that is included on this page, you can click the right arrow key, which will allow you to see the information on the next slides. So not ready to buy, get started with free Office for the web, work together with others in the same document real time, securely store and share files from anywhere with OneDrive, and then it'll tell you, now let's get started with on office.com. So when you're done, it's going to either give you can either click the blue check mark or hit the X at the top of the screen to exit this page. Now, when you go onto the main screen, the first thing you'll see if it's your first time using it is it says say hello to the app launcher. You can read the information inside of this section, and when you're done, you can click Got It. Then, after you hit Got It, it will give you the viewing of the full Office Online selection of apps. So this is where I'm going to pick up, with the actual website itself. So I'm going to sign in. Okay, so I guess it kept me sign in, so I didn't have to actually enter my information. So as you can see here from the image, you have a variety of Office apps that you are possibly used to. So Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and possibly Skype. To get to Sway, we're going to have to click on the All Apps option, which will then provide us with a few more apps that we can use. So Sway is the third to last app, so we're going to click on that. Now when we do that, it's going to bring us to the Sway main page. Now when you first use Sway, it is not going to look like this. It is going to actually give you, for the first time, a pop-up that gives you some information. It can be useful if you think so. It can tell you that you can easily add web content from within the app, and that you can make great designs inside of your Sway/portfolio with very little effort. When you're done viewing this, you can either hit Get Started or click the X, which will bring you to the main Sway page without the pop-up. Now, you will not see when you first start Create New, Start from a Topic, Start from a Document options for Sway. You will just see the Create New with a plus sign and at the top you'll see create new tutorials and the 3 dots. So we're going to begin a new sway. So to do this, I'm going to click on the plus sign create new to start us off. So the first thing you see here is the title card for sway. So for the title card, it is very simple to enter information. So as the handout says, all you have to do is click inside of the box and start typing information. Now let's say you're having your students create a portfolio on their 8th grade social studies class. So I'm going to type in 8th grade social, oops, almost wrote social type twice. So I'm going to type in 8th grade social studies. Okay, so this gives my sway / portfolio a title, so that way when my teacher or whoever I'm presenting this to or giving this to knows what this portfolio is going to be about. Now, when the information is entered, you have a few options. So one of the options is to emphasize the information. So to do that, you're going to highlight the text that you want to emphasize. Let's say I want to emphasize this whole thing, and then click on the emphasize option. This will give the words in the title a more bold look. Now let's say I want to de-emphasize this. I can unclick that option and it puts the text back to normal. Now let's say I want to accent this text. This provides the text with more of an italicized look. If I don't want this option, I can unclick accent, which will un-italicize the text. But let's say I want both of them, I can click both emphasize and accent, and it will provide a bold / italicized look toward the text. Now another option users have is to add links inside of each of the cards. So to do that, you can click link. In the display text area, you can type in anything. So let's type in example. And then you would add the web link for whatever you want to correlate with your display text. So I'm just going to enter the link that we use to get to Office Online, and I'm going to hit OK, which will then provide the display text that we had entered into the box and the link provided. So to access this, kind of like in Microsoft Word, you would hit Control and then left click, which will bring you to wherever the link needs to go. Now, besides adding a link by including display text and putting in the link, you can highlight whatever text you already have in the card. So I'm going to highlight 8th, and if you click link, it will show that the display text already says 8th. You just have to add in a web link. So let's say if it was 8th grade, you can add the link possibly for your Google Classroom to illustrate the work that you've done as a student in 8th grade. So if I do that, you can see that the link is established. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there for presentation purposes. So then once you do that, you can add a background image. So to do that, you click on background. And so today we're going to be doing a module on Microsoft Sway. So Microsoft Sway can be used to create a digital portfolio. So in this portfolio, teachers in schools can use it to have students illustrate different artifacts that they've created throughout the year. They can use it to have them illustrate their skills, their achievements, and any other aspects that need to be included into the portfolio. So to begin with Microsoft Sway, to begin with this module, we're going to need to open up our web browser. So as you can see down here, I am using the web browser Google Chrome. If you're using Microsoft Edge or Firefox, this should work just fine for those platforms as well. So I'm going to open up a new window. Now to get to Microsoft Online, what we would need to do, and this is included in the handout as you can see here on the right side of the screen, is type in a URL. Well, you can either type in this URL, you can copy it by highlighting the URL, or if you press Control and left click, it will open up the web page for you. So I'm just going to copy it and put it into the URL bar, which takes us exactly to the website. So because I already have a Microsoft account, I'm going to explain the sign up process that will occur. So when you're signing up for a new account, you're going to click the sign up for free option. If your school already has a Microsoft 365 account, you can click sign in and sign in with your school account to access Microsoft Online. However, if you do not have an account already, or you're not a Microsoft 365 school, an option is to create an account using your email. So for teachers and students, I would recommend using your school account, so teacher email or student email, for your Microsoft account that you are creating. Once you enter in your email, you're going to hit the next button. So then another option will appear and it's going to ask you to create a password. Again, as a recommendation, I would recommend to use the password that is associated with your school account so you will remember it. If not, then you can create a new passcode or password, for this application. Next, on the next page, it will tell you that it needs a little more information. So it's going to already preset, I believe, the country region that you live in. So since I live in the United States, it already has the country region established as the United States. And then the only identifying information besides country region is your birthday. So it's asking to enter in your birth month, day, and year. Once you do all of this, then you can hit the next button, which will bring you to the next page. So the next page is going to ask you to verify your email. So using the email that you have provided Microsoft, you are going to go check it, and you're going to see that Microsoft has sent you a code. So as you can see in the image, I was sent a code from Microsoft, which was entered into the section that asked for the code. And then if you'd like, you can have students either select or deselect, I would like to receive information, tips, and offers about Microsoft products and services. If you don't want them to receive this information, then you can have them uncheck this box. Once you're done entering this information, you can click Next, which will bring you to another page. So the next page asks the user to enter in the characters that they see on the screen. Now, some students might not be able to see these because they are very close together. So if this one's a little hard, they can click New until they find one that they can see. Also, students who might be hard of seeing, might need a little more assistance, can click the audio options to listen to the characters so that they can enter it into the line below. So once the characters are entered in, you would hit Next, which will bring you to the option about Microsoft plans. So Microsoft Free Office Online works perfectly fine. It gives you a lot of access to the applications. If you want a little more, you can get the premium if you're a teacher and pay out of pocket if you'd like. If not, you can contact your technology specialist or coach and see what it would take to get premium for your school. If you want to continue and look at the rest of the information, there will be a right arrow which will allow you to go onto the rest of the pages on this pop-up. This is not ready to buy. Get started with free Office for the web. Work together with others in the same document in real time. Securely store and share files from anywhere with OneDrive. And then it'll tell you, now let's get started on Office.com. So once you reach that last slide, you can either hit the check in the circle, or you can go to the top right corner of the pop-up and hit the X. Once you do that, it'll bring you to the main page for Microsoft Office Online, and at the top left you will see this little message pop up that says say hello to the app launcher. Once you've read the information inside of this pop-up, you can click got it, and then you will see the main page for Microsoft Office Online. So from this point, I'm going to take over on showing Sway from the actual website. So let me just sign in. Might take a second or two. Okay, since I was already using this before, it's already signed me in to the website. So if you look on the main page, you'll see a few apps for Microsoft that you should know: Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Skype, if you've used Skype before. There are a few others here. But to get to the main one that we're using for this module, which is Sway, we're going to click on All Apps, and we're going to look for Sway. Sway will be the third to last application on the page, so we're going to click on that, and it will bring us to Sway's main page. Now, if you're using Sway for the first time, the main page will not look like this for you. In fact, Sway's main page will actually pop up a pop-up that says engage your audience with Sway, which is showing different ways Sway has been used. And then it's going to say that you can easily add content from different web sources into Sway, and that you can add designs to your Sway with very little effort. Once you've read all this information and gone through it, you can either hit Get Started or click the X to exit this pop-up. Now, on Sway's main page, something that you'll see is that since I've already used Sway, you'll see that I have more options than what you will. When you start Sway, the first and only thing you will see out of these examples is the plus and create new, and then the create new tutorials and 3 dots at the top. So now, to begin Sway, I'm going to click the plus create new so we can start with the how to use this application. So once I do that, it brings us to the main Sway page where we can start creating our Sway/portfolio. So the first card in Sway is your title card. So let's say you are having your students create a portfolio for their 8th grade social studies class. So, and you want them to title their portfolio 8th grade social studies. Now this portfolio will show everything that they've learned throughout this year. They are going to be able to include artifacts that demonstrate their learning. They're going to be able to show different skills and different achievements that they have earned over the year. So now, in this main box, there are a few options that we have, which we're going to explore first before we get into everything else. So, one of the things you can do is you can highlight the entire text if you want and emphasize it. Now, emphasizing it just gives the text a more bold look. If you don't want that, then you can re-highlight the text that you emphasize and de-emphasize it. Same thing for accent. If you highlight the text again, click accent, this provides the text a more italicized look, and then you can click accent to de-accent the text. Now, if you want both emphasize and accent activated, you just click on them, and now the text on this way is now emphasized and accented. So another thing users can do is add links. So let's say students have links to their artifacts that they want to incorporate into their portfolio. They could easily do that. So if they click link, it's going to pop up this little pop-up that says display text and web link. So for display text, you would enter what you want to be seen for the link. So let's say I want example to be seen for the text for the link. And then for the web link, I'm just going to include, for the example, the link used to get to Microsoft Office Online. Once this information has been entered, the user would hit OK. And there's the link and the display text, or the display text with the link inside of it on the title card. Now let's say I didn't want this link anymore, or I didn't need it. I can just delete it by hitting the backspace, but I needed to add a link into social studies. I can highlight the word social studies, click link. Now the display text will illustrate any text that I have highlighted. So since social studies was highlighted, that's the display text. And then the web link, as again for the example, I'm just going to use the link that helped us to get to Microsoft Online, and then I would hit OK. And now social studies has a link attached to it. Now another thing I can do is I can add a background image to our title card. So to do that, I would click on where it says background, and it's going to pop up Sway's image bank, essentially. So let's do, I'm going to search a term for an image for social studies. So it's looking for suggestions. So I can use any of these pictures that are here because they have Creative Commons, which is important. And I can click on the image, which I did, which you'll see the green check, and click add. When I do that, the text has been added into the the picture has been added to the background. Once I'm done selecting my image, I can hit the X, and that will exit the page for the picture selection. Now let's say I want certain focus points for my background image. I want the person looking at my portfolio to focus on a certain aspect inside of an image. I can go to that image and select certain focus points on the image. So let's say I want the focus points to be on social studies. So I can add these little circles by clicking and say that this is the important focus point, and it will be accentuated for those looking at it. Then once I'm done, I can hit the X, and now there are focus points on social studies in that background image. Now, let's say I didn't want those focus points to be done. I can undo them by hitting the undo button here. But let's say that undo was a mistake and I want to actually have that included in my portfolio. I can hit redo, which will redo that previous action. I can search inside this way by clicking on the magnifying glass. So let's say I want to search for the term social studies. Oops. It's going to search and say that there's only one of one because that is the only term we have for social studies. When I'm done with my search, I can hit the X, and that will get rid of the search bar. I can also insert more images if I click on insert. Okay, so now that we have our title card all created, we're going to need to add more information for our portfolio. To do that, there is a green plus sign at the bottom of our title card. So if we click that, we can insert more content. Sway is going to give you a bunch of options under suggested, so you can either add another heading, text, image, stack, or upload. Then you can see that it also says text, media, or groups. So text means adding more text-based cards. Media, adding images, videos, audios, embed, and upload content. And grouping is kind of grouping cards together in certain ways that are illustrated here. So let's say I need to add a heading for the American Revolution because that's one of the aspects that need to be highlighted for my portfolio. So let's add a heading. So it says add a first level heading. I'm going to type in American Revolution. Again, I can emphasize this text, I can accent this text, I can add a link, I can add a background image. And also, if I don't want this card, let's say I made a mistake by adding this card or I added too many cards, I can click the trash can, which will delete this card from my Sway. Now in the bottom corner, you can see it says card selection. If I have more cards here, I can use this to move the card around. So now that I have my first heading, let's say I want to add another card into the group. So let's say I want to add a media. Let's say I want to add a video into my portfolio. I can click on a video that Sway has provided me. So let's say I want to add this video on Social Studies United States Constitution Explained. So I'm going to click on the video, just like the image for the background. It's going to have a check mark on it. and I'm going to click add. So when I do that, the video will be added. I can add a caption for the video and say the U.S. Constitution. So now in this card, we see that we have a few more options. Unlike the card before and even our title card, we can add bulleted information by clicking bullets. We can do number lists by clicking on numbers. And then we have 3 options here. Now, some cards have 3, some cards have 2. It depends on the card type. So this allows for the card to be emphasis. So this card's emphasis is set at subtle. You can have it set at moderate, or you can have it set at intense. Now, like I said before, this card selection aspect allows you to move cards above or below each other. Okay, so that's the second card that I've added. So let's say now I've added everything I needed to, and I've had all the artifacts that I've learned about the American Revolution added into my portfolio. Now I can add another heading. So this will add another section into my portfolio. So let's say this section is on the Civil War. Okay, this will be the next section, and I'll explain how these sections work when I illustrate the portfolio and how it looks to the person looking at the portfolio. So let's say I want to add another card. Let's say for this I just want to add some text. Okay, this is all the information I learned about the Civil War. And then I could add bulleted information below, or I can even turn this into a heading. So that's also an option for this card that isn't in other cards as well. Okay, so now that I've illustrated how to add cards, backgrounds, and some of the features of cards, I'm going to illustrate what happens when you click, when someone is watching this portfolio. So to do that, at the top right corner of the web page, it says play. I'm going to click that, and it's going to present the sway that has been created. Now, usually the sway does not look this way. Usually, default-wise, it is set for sways to be presented horizontally. So, for some reason, this sway was originally being presented vertically, and I'll get into that. So usually this is how the sway looks. To move throughout the sway, there are left and right arrow keys. You would click on these to go forward or to go back. So let's go forward. So it says American Revolution, the video that we've included, the Civil War. This is all the information about the Civil War, and if there's more information, it would continue on. Now, if I want to go back, I can click the left arrow and go back to certain aspects inside of the portfolio. Now, there's another option right here that has 3 bulleted dots, and this allows you to navigate to different sections of the sway. So this is where the headings portion of the portfolio come into play. So the title card will always be home, and then you have each of the headings. So if you want to go to a specific heading, let's say you're a teacher and you want to look at a student's information in the portfolio on the Civil War, you can click on the heading for Civil War and it will take you directly to that section of the portfolio. Now let's say you need to edit the portfolio for any reason, something isn't right, something's misspelled, you can click on edit and it will bring you back to the page where you were adding information about the sway or portfolio and allow you to add more information or edit something that might be misused. Then it also provides you options to share the portfolio. So if you're a student, you can share this with a teacher, which can illustrate what you've learned over the year, so that way this can be used as your assessment. There are 2 options. If you share this with someone, they can either just view it or they can edit it. You can either send the link, which is here, to the person. You can have them be given a visual link, You can send it through Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or an embed code. And if you click more options, it'll allow you to reset the share settings that you have established. Then the next option here is the gear. So this illustrates the different types of layouts that are possible for the sway. So right now it's set to being displayed to scroll vertically. This is not the usual default. I've seen the default more as the scrolls horizontal, but scrolling vertically, you'll just scroll the sway from top to bottom. And then you also have optimized for presentation, which kind of makes it look like a PowerPoint or a Google Slides or any other presentation software. Okay, so and another aspect you can do is you can turn on and off the animations for the layout. And then finally, you have the 3 dots, which provide more information. So if you click My Sways, it will bring you to all the sways that you have created. So these are all the ones that I have for this account. We're going to go back to the sway that we were just on. You can create a new sway by clicking Create New, which will bring you back to the first title card that we created. Excuse me. Oh, I accidentally closed it out. Okay. Delete that. Okay. So then you can duplicate this sway. So if you're duplicating a sway that you've already created, it's going to give you the title. If you want to duplicate it, you will click the duplicate option. It'll say duplicate this sway. It's going to tell you that a copy has already been created. You can either go to My Sways to view it or edit it now. If you don't want to do anything with it, you can click off that option and just go back to the screen we're working on. You can print your sway. So this is going to take a minute if you've never clicked the print option to load. And then it's going to give you your print settings. You can edit these settings any way you like for your sway to be printed out. If you're fine with how this is, you can click print. Because I'm not printing this right now, I'm going to click cancel. It also gives you an option to download the PDF if you have an issue printing it from your print settings. Another option is to export. So I'm going to show this with one of the formats because it does the same thing for PDF and the Word option. So if you want to export your sway to a Word or PDF file, what you can do is click on Word. Let's say you need to export the format into a Word format. It's going to say exporting your sway to Word. And then in the lower left-hand corner, you'll see that there's a Word document that has been downloaded. If you click on that, it will load Microsoft Word, and there will be the sway/portfolio available. Okay, and it does the same thing if you were to export it into a PDF format as well. Then you can change settings for the sway. You can change the language. This could be important if you're a teacher who students might have set their sway into Spanish to work on it. If you need to change it back to English, show text direction buttons, use right to left layout, which will bring it from right side to left, and then other view settings. And then you have the accessibility checker, which is important for students who might have special needs. This way that you can ensure that this will be the sway will be applicable to all students. Or if it's being presented to students, that it can be accessible for everyone. So it can offer, the accessibility checker will offer different suggestions to make your sway/portfolio more presentable for various reasons. And once you have gone through the different suggestions, you can add them. If they don't seem reasonable, maybe try to alter them so that way they work for your portfolio, but it allows them to make sure that your sway/portfolio is accessible for everyone. And then you have accessibility view. So accessibility view will allow the portfolio to be /sway to be viewed by everyone. It essentially makes it more viewable and easier to look at. This way, if students who might have a hard time accessing it for any reason, they will have it's a little more easier for them to use. And then to exit the accessibility view, you can just click exit accessibility view, and it brings you back to the page. So another option, which is not here but it's in your handout, is the find option in that drop down menu. So the find option will provide users with a search bar. In the search bar, they can enter in keywords, phrases, or other aspects. If a teacher needs to find a certain keyword that they're looking for in a student's portfolio, they can use this feature to find it. So then you also have help, which will pop up this little pop-up that will give different ways if you need help with your sway or creating a portfolio, ways for you to get help. Then it'll show your email. I'm not going to click on this because it will show personal information. So if you need to access your Microsoft account for any reason, you can click that. And then if you need to sign out of the sway, you can click sign out. So since we are done illustrating how this is used, I'm going to go over a few more aspects, and then I'm going to get into how this enhances student learning and the standards that associate with this resource. So the last aspect that you can use into your sway/portfolio is its design. So the design allows your portfolio/sway to kind of pop, to kind of make it look presentable, to make it look appealing to those who are going to look at it, whether it be a teacher, student, a boss, administrator, anyone of that sort. So if you click design, it's going to pop up this little message that says bring your sway to life with colors, textures, and fonts. So if you click styles, it'll give you the different styles for viewing. So we want this to be viewed horizontal. It says customize your sway with custom colors, typography, and textures. So if we hit customize, it'll provide a variety of options. So you can do curated, custom, social studies. It'll take colors from the image. So let's do curated. It's going to give you a variety of color palettes. So let's do orange. Orange is a pop-out color. We're going to change the font to a Times New Roman font. And then the animation emphasis we can change from moderate, intense to subtle. We're going to make them subtle. And then the text size from small, normal, or large. We're going to make it a little bit bigger. And when we're fine with the design of our new sway/portfolio, we can hit the X button at the top. And now our sway has been customized to look like, to look different, to look a lot more presentable to those we are going to give this information to. So if we go back to storyline, we hit play, we can then see that the design options have been given, have been now added into our sway. So if we hit play, we can see that now our text is now Times New Roman, it's a little bit bigger, and our background is now orange. So to address some final things, how does this enhance student learning? So students are learning the knowledge of how to create a portfolio. They're learning how there are certain aspects that are more important than others, and they're learning that which artifacts that they've created will be more important than others, and that demonstrate that they truly learned this information. They're also learning skills by using sway and by creating a portfolio that can be used for their career or for a college or for any other reason. There are a lot of ways this can enhance student learning, but those are just a few. Now, in terms of ISTE standards, which I'm going to talk about now, there are a few that connect with this resource. So one of them is 1C. Students use technology to seek feedback that informs and improves their practice and to demonstrate their learning in a variety of ways. So students are going to use the portfolio/SWAY to demonstrate their learning by including their artifacts. Teachers can review the artifacts inside of the portfolio to see what the students have learned. And they're using technology because they either have to use their device, a tablet, Chromebook, or any other piece of technology to get the feedback on their portfolio, so that way they can improve upon their portfolio, they can edit things, they can add more information if they need to, or take information out. Okay. Knowledge Constructor is another one that would be used. 3C fits this resource. Students curate information from digital resources using a variety of tools and methods to create a collection of artifacts that demonstrate meaningful connections or conclusions. So students are going to use the portfolio/SWAY to illustrate the collection of artifacts that they've created throughout the year or throughout a certain semester to demonstrate their connections of how they connected to the material, their learning to the material, and they're going to use a variety of tools. So they can use either, images, videos, resources that they've used in class to be included into their portfolio, and they're also going to be using SWAY and different educational technology. Another one would be um, 6D kind of fits. It's students publish or present content that customizes the messages and medium for their intended audience. They're kind of formatting the portfolio in a way that the teacher specifies. So in that way, they're customizing the content inside of the portfolio for the intended audience of the teacher. And then students choose the appropriate platforms and tools for meeting the desired objectives of their creation or communication. So the student is going to choose the tools inside of the portfolio to meet the desired objectives of illustrating their knowledge, to communicate that they understand a certain topic of the content. Now, in terms of New York State standards, besides ISTE-S, New York State standards can be applied across the board. So for portfolios, you can show every standard for 8th grade from the example. You can show how students met the standard for the American Revolution, the Civil War, the World War I, Cold War, and up to modern times. So you can illustrate a variety of things with the New York State standards inside of the portfolio. So this was the module for Microsoft SWAY. There's more in-depth information inside of your handout, so please look that over. And if you have any questions, let me know.